Hey guys, it's Miss Arlequin, and tonight we're going to start to generate some ideas for our Unit 1 narratives. So just to remind you, our performance-based task for the end of Unit 1 is to write a short story in which a character from one of the unit texts faces another challenging experience. At the beginning of the unit, we unpacked this task and we tried to figure out what the purpose was, what our topic was, who our audience is, and the format that we would be writing. So we can see very clearly that this task states the format. We are writing a short story or a narrative. We know that we are writing about a character from one of the unit texts, and our story has to be about how that character faces another challenging experience. So that's our topic. And then, because I know I'm writing a short story, I know that the purpose in writing short stories is going to be to describe and teach a lesson and to entertain the reader as well. But overall, I'm really looking to use descriptive language and to have a theme. And since the task does not state the specific audience, then I know that this audience is just a general audience. So anyone of any gender or age could read my story and enjoy it. I'm not writing it specifically for somebody that's an adult or someone specifically that's a child. So the first thing I want you to do is make your choice of which character you want to focus your narrative on. So you're either going to choose June from Tuesdays of the Other June, or you're going to choose the speaker from Life Doesn't Frighten Me, and they're going to be the main characters for your narrative. So in your notes, just a sheet of loose leaf paper for tonight's homework, jot down the name of the character that you're choosing. Now that you've chosen your character, we're going to do a quick little think and write. So we have 2 questions that I want you to write about. And this is just really a way to activate our prior knowledge. What problem did the character you select face in the original text? And how is that problem resolved? So you can write that down in your notes by just writing problem, and then underneath that, writing resolution. And so, jogging our memory and knowing very clearly what the original problem and the original resolution is can be a good way for us to start to brainstorm some additional problems and additional resolutions to our new problem. If you need to, you can pause the video at this point so you can do a little thinking and a little writing. And when you're ready, you can keep going. Now that I have my character and I've reminded myself what their original problem and resolution is, now I want to do some brainstorming. And the focus question is, what are some other conflicts I could explore in my narrative? So for example, if I use Tuesday of the Other June, I could think about how Mazer described the other June as having a growly voice and looking like a cat sleepily preparing to gulp down a mouse. So I'm thinking about text evidence of how the author characterized the other June. Based on how she acts towards June, we were able to determine that she's a bully. If she's going to be my main character, then how can I use that original characterization and then describe her in my narrative? Maybe my story will be set after June stands up to her and she's no longer a bully. So if I'm going to make that change, I'm going to change a very vital part of that character's personality. How will that change how I describe her? If she's no longer a bully, how is she going to act differently? What kind of things is she going to say? How will I describe her? Maybe using a different word choice. Maybe instead of using growly voice, I'll describe her voice as being sweet. Maybe she'll be kind and gentle now instead of being angry and hurtful the way she was in the original story. So these are some of the things you want to think about. And to brainstorm some possible story ideas, we're going to use a 3-column chart. In your left column, you're going to put some possible problems or conflicts that your character can face. In the middle, you're going to come up with some possible solutions to those problems, which could end up being the ending of your story. And then in the final column, you're going to come up with the additional characters that you're going to include in that story. you want to come up with a few different story ideas, not just one. Don't go with your first idea. Use this time right now to come up with as many different ideas as you can. That way, you have a choice. And sometimes your first idea seems really good, but then when you think of some other ones, you realize that you like the third or the fourth idea even better. Alright, so I'm going to model my brainstorming using the chaser. So if I was going to do this exact same assignment using Alan from the chaser, one problem I can write about is that Alan has given Diana the love potion and she has become unbearable. He can't stand to be around her anymore because she's obsessed. And I can solve that problem by having Alan buy the glove cleaner and killing Diana. And so in this story, I would clearly need to have Diana. And I would also have the old man again because he would be the one that Alan would purchase the glove cleaner from. That's one idea. I could also have Alan give Diana the love potion and she does become unbearable, so I'm going to have the same problem. But I'm going to change the solution. In this second story idea, when Alan buys the glove cleaner, he ends up chickening out because he finds out that Diana is pregnant. And so my character still ends up being the same. My problem is the same, but I'm going to end or solve that problem in a different way. Finally, I could change the problem. And now Alan switched the love potion and he ends up drinking it himself. Now he has become Diana's stalker. So that's a problem because now Alan's personality has changed and his love for Diana has become even more intense. I can then resolve this problem at the end of the story by having Diana become so fed up that she calls the police and Alan gets arrested and he's taken away to a psychiatric hospital. And then my ending of my story will be him spending the rest of his life in a rubber room. So in this narrative, I'm going to definitely need Diana. I'll probably include her parents as well because I would like to have a scene where she's talking to her parents and complaining about Alan. I'm going to need the police, and then I will end my story with the psychiatrist talking to Alan, telling Alan that he's going to be staying there for the rest of his life. So what I'd like you to do is if you need to pause the video, you can, and come up with your list of problems and solutions. And when you have a decent list, maybe 3 problem and solutions minimum, choose one of the problem and solution scenarios, circle it, and that's going to be the storyline for your narrative. So you really, when you choose, you really need to think about which storyline is going to work best for your story. Okay, and finally, now that you have your storyline, you're going to do one final brainstorming, and that is to create a character profile in the form of a bubble map for your main character. What character traits is your character going to have in your new narrative? So for example, if I was going to make this bubble map for the other June, if I was to create the bubble map based on Tuesday the other June, I would have her be a bully. I would describe her as a tormentor, as angry. But in my narrative, which is what I'm making this bubble map for, I would not use those words because again, I'm changing the other June. I'm making her kind and sweet. So my bubble map is going to use those descriptive words to describe her. If I make one for my chaser narrative, then I'm going to put Alan in the center, and I'm going to choose the storyline where the first one where Diana becomes really obsessive and Alan gets fed up and he ends up poisoning her. So in the beginning of my story, he's going to be naive because he still believes that the love potion is a good thing. And then eventually, he's going to become fed up when she starts to become really annoying. He's going to become desperate, and that's what's going to drive him to go to get the glove cleaner. And then finally, he's also going to be duplicitous because he's going to end up tricking her. So I have my descriptive words in my bubbles, and in my frame of reference, I'm going to give specific story ideas for scenes or ways in the story that I'm going to show these traits. So for naive, I'm going to show he's naive by having him, in the beginning of the story, think that the love potion is going to solve all his problems. I'm going to show him as fed up by having a scene where he's getting very annoyed by Diana's behavior. He wishes that she would stop. He's gonna try to talk some sense into her. Maybe I'll even add a friend that he calls and tries to get advice. I'm going to show that he's desperate because I'm going to show him trying to get Diana to calm down with her obsessive love. And I'm going to show him calling the old man, asking if there's anything he can do, and being so desperate that he buys the glove cleaner. And then I'm going to show him being duplicitous when he actually tries to trick her into drinking the glove cleaner. And I'm going to show him pretending to still love her even though he's planning to kill her. So make sure that you bring all of your brainstorming charts to class tomorrow. We're going to need them to continue our work on our narratives. Good luck.